What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Michael Sasser, boudoir photographer here in Los Angeles, California, and today we're going to be talking about the no blackout, or what I really think is a worse blackout in the Canon EOS R. Before we get started, I just want to mention that I just got this light dome and it is amazing. This thing's like 130 bucks. The light that I'm using is only $170, so to have this amazing light, it'll only cost you under $300. So this is with, without, right? With, I guess any light that turns on will probably also look good. I just want to reiterate that I'm not sponsored by Sony. I actually built my boudoir business on Canon. Last year I switched to Sony because Canon just wasn't giving me the features I was looking for. So a couple weeks ago I released this video on the deal breaker for me on the Canon EOS R. If you haven't watched it, I'm gonna post a card up here in the top. But that got a lot of comments, and some of them, you know, calling me out on some things that I didn't explain properly, so I wanted to make this video to really explain what's going on. I had so many people tell me that what I was talking about was just a setting that you could turn off. So this is how Canon deals with the no blackout in their EOS R. They show you the photo you just took until the next photo is taken. So it looks a little bit like a stop motion movie while you're shooting. And these comments confirmed to me that totally it should be something that you should turn off. I mean, that's exactly what I thought when I first got the camera. I don't understand why this would exist even in a camera. But the second thing it told me is that so many people rushed to comment to tell me I was wrong, that this is just a setting that you could turn off. Before we go on, before you make your comment on YouTube and tell somebody they're wrong, make sure you just spend a minute doing a little bit of research. Instead of just talking about this camera, I invited somebody over to actually do a photo shoot with it so you can actually see what it is that's going on. Okay, so this may look a little ridiculous, but this is how I'm going to show you exactly the feed that's coming from within the camera. So you'll be able to see exactly what I'm seeing as I'm taking the picture. This is the newer Atomos Ninja V or Atomos Ninja 5. I believe it's Roman numerals. Back in the olden days when Romans used numbers. This is Heidi, and she's gonna be helping us out today, modeling for us. You ready?
I'm ready, let's do it.
Let's do it. So it might look a little awkward as I shoot this. The Ninja, when it's plugged in, it doesn't actually allow you to see the monitor or the viewfinder, so I can't actually use this like a human, but we're gonna make it work. It's all for you guys. We're showing you guys. Okay, so on here, what I'm gonna do, the very first thing I'm gonna do is turn image review on so that you can see what it looks like as it takes a picture. So here, very first page, first item down, we're just gonna do image review 2 seconds. Okay, so here's our test shot. Go ahead and give me a big cheesy smile. Okay, now you can see it waits a second and then it shows the image briefly. Okay, let's try that one more time. We're just gonna take the photo. Here it is, it waits a second and then it shows. That's a perfect one. You're halfway through blinking.
Great.
Okay, that's with the image review on. Now let's turn image review off. So menu, image review, off. So now as we take the picture, there's no image review that shows on, which is much better. But the way Canon has decided to do no blackout, it's showing a review of the last photo until the next photo is taken. So if you're on continuous autofocus, you're shooting 5 frames a second, it's only going to show you those 5 frames in a second. Go ahead. Okay, so that is like a stop motion film, which are really neat. Love stop motion. But for photography, basically what I'm seeing is I'm not really seeing it as it's happening. I'm seeing it in the past. The photo gets taken and then I don't see what happens until the next photo is taken. Especially if your eye is looking up to the camera and you're looking at this as it's happening, it's gonna be really hard for you to be able to judge what's coming next if she decides to move back. You know, in this specific portrait scenario, it may not be a deal breaker as far as getting the shots because she's not moving very much. But as you start to shoot more moving subjects, events, I think it's gonna be really difficult. So let's do a walking shot. All right, go ahead. All right, I'm gonna be moving over. Okay, you're good. You know what it feels like? It feels like that, like in a video game, when you're doing like a race car game and you're like overcorrecting for the steering and you're like, oh, I'm going too far that way. So you like turn left and then by the time you're done turning left, you're like already off the side of the road. You gotta turn right again. That's what this feels like to me. But basically, Canon is covering up the blackout by showing you a review of the photos. The only reason why I would imagine this is really beneficial is if you're shooting with strobes. So if you're shooting with strobes, not being able to see what it looks like normally, you take a picture and it shows you instantly exactly what the photo is gonna look like. That is brilliant. But for everything else, I just can't imagine why somebody would prefer this over having a momentary space of black and then back to what's actually happening. In contrast, let's show you what the experience of a Sony would look like. Okay, so now we are on the Sony a7R III, which we're also using a mechanical shutter, and you'll see on this, it's just gonna flash very briefly. It's gonna show a black frame, and then it's gonna switch over to showing what's actually happening. Go ahead. Perfect. All right guys, so I hope that explains a little bit more why I had such a problem with the setting. You know, again, up against the Sony with a mechanical shutter, I just think that system is just so much better to be able to actually see what's happening, but have little very brief blackouts that take place. I suppose this guy's right. I could just shoot with one eye open and I probably wouldn't have a seizure. It sounds like for a lot of photographers, this isn't a deal breaker. It turns out that on the A9, if you do shoot in mechanical mode, even at 5 frames a second, this is how the camera reacts, which again, I think is terrible. I'm not that passionate about it actually. So tell me what your thoughts are. Is this the best thing since ever? Is it the worst thing since ever? I definitely don't want to make this channel about gear, but I think people have a right to know. Anybody's gonna know if they shoot with this. So that's the point, is that if you've shot with this camera, you've experienced it, and if it's not that big of a deal to you, then it's just not that big of a deal to you, great. If you haven't bought the camera yet and you're considering it, take this into consideration for your consideration. Okay, so enough on cameras. I've got some really cool little mini series coming out soon, so I'm super excited about that. I'm shooting one early next week, so you guys can look forward to that on the channel. And I look forward to all of the hate comments I'll receive in this video. And on just a quick motivational note here for you guys, I was just talking about the importance of getting something done. So this last gear video that I did, this last EOS R video I did was far from perfect. I didn't explain properly what the no blackout was. My friend Eric said that you couldn't record with face detection if you plugged in an external monitor, which Gerald Undone recorded a video that same day, posted a video that same day saying, look guys, this is how to do it. Everybody else was wrong. And then I got blasted with comments that said, everybody knows that you can record with an external monitor and still use face detection. Gerald made a video on it, but I just so happened to post that video like an hour before he posted his. That's what happens the first time you try something, and it's okay to mess it up. The important thing is that you continue to iterate. So hopefully this video will have explained it a little bit better, and future gear videos will be informative and fun and helpful to you guys, because that's why I'm making them. So if you have something that you're working on or scared of posting, or a photo that you don't know if people are gonna like it, or a caption that you think is gonna be dumb, post it anyways. Get feedback and then just iterate to the next one. You know, a year from now, you're not gonna look back at this video, you're not gonna look back at that photo and think about how the lighting was a little bit off or the editing wasn't the way that you know how to edit now. You'll just be doing the better version of it now because you've already made the mistakes in the past. And I think that's all of the time that I have here for this video. So go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, and comment, and like, and bell, and share, and leave a comment about how much you liked and shared the video. And I will see you guys in the next one. All right, so I got to use this camera over the weekend, and I don't want to do the same video that everybody does. I heard everybody's like, oh, I'm not going to talk about the specs. I'm going to talk about what it was like to use the camera, and then all they do is talk about the specs. It's an amazing lens to show your closeness to the subject, and it's a very personal lens for this reason. Sometimes it can feel like you can even reach